The Bamyan Valley, a breathtaking expanse nestled high within the Hindu Kush Mountains of central Afghanistan, has for millennia been a witness to history. Its strategic location transformed it into a vital artery of the ancient Silk Road. This legendary network of trade routes was more than just a conduit for goods. It was a vibrant channel for the exchange of cultures, religions and ideas between the Eastern and Western worlds. For centuries, from roughly the 1st to the 8th centuries AD, Bamyan flourished. Merchants leading camel caravans laden with silks, spices and precious metals rested here. Monks, scholars and pilgrims found solace and spiritual enrichment in its serene atmosphere, making the valley not merely a passage but a remarkable destination in its own right, a true jewel of Central Asia. Dominating this extraordinary valley were two colossal statues of the Buddha, known locally as Salsal, meaning light shines through the universe, and Shamama, Queen Mother. These were the Western and Eastern Buddhas, respectively. The larger Salsal soared to an astonishing height of approximately 55 meters, while Shamama stood at a still impressive 38 meters. Carved with immense skill directly into the towering sandstone cliffs during the 6th century AD, they were, for over 1400 years, the largest standing Buddha carvings in the world. These majestic figures, exuding an aura of profound peace, watched over the bustling caravans and the tranquil monastic life unfolding below, truly magnificent beacons of faith and artistry. The artistic style of the Bamyan Buddhas was a fascinating product of cultural fusion, known as Gandhara art. This unique aesthetic emerged in the region encompassing parts of modern-day Afghanistan and Pakistan, blending Indian Buddhist iconography with the naturalistic forms of Greco-Roman sculpture. This artistic synthesis was a legacy of Alexander the Great's campaigns in the 4th century BC and the subsequent centuries of interaction between Hellenistic and Indian civilizations. The Buddhas were meticulously hewn from the sandstone. Intricate details of their robes and features were then fashioned from mud mixed with straw applied over wooden dowels, and finally coated with stucco. Originally, these surfaces were painted in vibrant hues, deep reds, blues and oranges, and possibly adorned with precious gems, creating an image of breathtaking splendor. The Bamyan Buddhas were not isolated monuments. They were the awe-inspiring centerpieces of a vast and thriving Buddhist monastic complex. The cliffs around them were honeycombed with hundreds of caves, meticulously carved out by monks. These caves served as chapels, assembly halls, monk cells and sanctuaries, many of them adorned with intricate and colorful frescoes depicting scenes from Buddhist teachings and the life of the Buddha. This extensive network made Bamyan one of the most significant Buddhist centers of learning and pilgrimage in the ancient world. It attracted scholars, artists and devout followers from as far away as India, China and Central Asia, fostering a rich environment for philosophical debate and artistic creation and playing a crucial role in the dissemination of Buddhist thought across Asia. The latter part of the 20th century saw Afghanistan engulfed in prolonged conflict and political instability. This tumultuous period eventually led to the rise of the Taliban, an extremist group whose rigid ideology sought to impose a stark and austere version of Islamic law. By the late 1990s, the Taliban had asserted control over most of Afghanistan, including the historic Bamyan Valley. As their influence solidified, a chilling unease began to spread among international observers and cultural heritage organizations. There were growing fears for the safety of Afghanistan's rich pre-Islamic and Islamic patrimony under a regime that showed little tolerance for interpretations of faith and history outside its own narrow definitions, foreshadowing the cultural catastrophe that was to unfold. In the early months of 2001, the world's apprehension turned into horrified disbelief. Mullah Muhammad Omar, the reclusive leader of the Taliban, issued a decree ordering the destruction of all statues in Afghanistan, explicitly including the ancient Bamyan Buddhas. The Taliban leadership declared these magnificent representations of Buddhist faith to be idols, asserting that their existence was contrary to the tenets of Islam, which, in their strict interpretation, prohibits the worship of graven images. This justification was vehemently contested by many Islamic scholars worldwide, who pointed to a long history of Islamic civilizations coexisting with and preserving the heritage of other cultures. The edict was widely perceived internationally not just as an act of religious zealotry, but also as a calculated political statement of defiance against global opinion. The destruction of the Bamyan Buddhas in March 2001 was a meticulously planned and brutally executed act of cultural vandalism. It was not a sudden outburst of iconoclasm, but a deliberate operation that spanned several weeks, demonstrating a chilling resolve. Initial attempts to obliterate the colossal statues using anti-aircraft guns, tank shells and rockets proved largely ineffective against their sheer scale and the resilience of the ancient sandstone. The Taliban then brought in engineers who, with cold precision, drilled holes into the statues and packed them with dynamite. Despite desperate pleas from across the globe, the charges were detonated, and in a series of devastating explosions, the ancient sentinels of Bamyan were reduced to dust and rubble. The immediate aftermath of this cultural atrocity was one of profound shock and desolation. Where the majestic Buddhas had stood for nearly 1.5 millennia, there were now only 2 immense empty niches carved into the ochre cliffs, haunting voids that resonated with absence. These gaping cavities swiftly became potent and universally recognized symbols of cultural barbarism, illustrating the tragic vulnerability of heritage in the face of extremism and conflict. The loss was immeasurable not just for the people of Afghanistan, to whom these statues were a significant part of their diverse history, but for all of humanity. An irreplaceable chapter of our shared global story had been violently erased, leaving an indelible scar upon the cultural conscience of the world. The deliberate annihilation of the Bamyan Buddhas sent shockwaves of revulsion and condemnation across the entire international community. Governments from every continent, cultural institutions, religious leaders representing diverse faiths, and prominent international bodies like the United Nations and UNESCO voiced their profound sorrow and unequivocal outrage. Numerous countries, including many Islamic nations that cherished their own rich historical tapestry, had made impassioned diplomatic appeals to the Taliban regime, urging them to reconsider their devastating decision and spare these unique monuments. Tragically, all these pleas fell on deaf ears, highlighting a distressing impotence of global diplomacy when confronted with such unyielding fanaticism and a determined will to destroy. UNESCO, the United Nations educational, scientific and cultural organization, which is mandated to protect the world's cultural and natural heritage, responded swiftly and decisively to the destruction. The organization vehemently condemned the act as a crime against culture and a profound loss for all humankind. Recognizing the urgent need for action, in 2003 UNESCO inscribed the entire cultural landscape and archaeological remains of the Bamyan Valley onto the list of World Heritage in Danger. This significant designation aimed not only to acknowledge the severe threats to the site, but also to mobilize international support and resources for the safeguarding of what remained. Efforts soon commenced to meticulously collect, document, and catalogue the thousands of fragments of the destroyed Buddhas, a sorrowful task of piecing together a shattered legacy. In the years following the destruction, a complex and often emotionally charged debate has unfolded regarding the potential reconstruction of one or both of the Bamyan Buddhas. This discussion involves a wide array of stakeholders, including local communities, the Afghan authorities, international heritage experts, and donor countries. Proponents of reconstruction argue that it would be a powerful symbol of resilience, cultural revival, and a way to heal the deep wounds inflicted by the Taliban's actions. Conversely, opponents express concerns about authenticity, suggesting a replica could never replace the original and might detract from the tragic significance of the empty niches. They also argue that resources might be better allocated to preserving the surviving original material, conserving the nearby cave murals, or supporting the socio-economic development of the Bamyan region. The technical, ethical and financial challenges remain immense, and as of early 2025, no international consensus has been reached. Despite the unresolved debate on reconstruction, crucial work has been undertaken at the Bamyan site by dedicated teams of Afghan and international archaeologists, conservators and engineers, often in perilous security conditions. Their efforts have focused on the urgent stabilization of the fragile rock niches, which were further weakened by the explosions. Extensive projects have also aimed to protect and conserve the invaluable ancient murals that adorn the walls of the numerous caves surrounding the Buddha niches. Furthermore, teams have painstakingly recovered, documented, and taken measures to conserve the countless fragments of the destroyed statues. This meticulous work is vital not only for preserving the historical and archaeological integrity of the site, but also for informing any future decisions about its long-term management and presentation to the world. Today, in mid-2025, the Bamyan Valley, though forever changed by the tragic events of 2001, continues to be a site of immense historical and cultural importance. International partnerships, frequently coordinated and supported by UNESCO, have persevered in their mission to safeguard the remaining heritage of this extraordinary landscape. This includes the intricate network of caves with their ancient Buddhist paintings, some of which were discovered even after the destruction of the great statues. The primary focus remains on implementing comprehensive long-term management plans. These plans aim to ensure the physical integrity of the site, protect its archaeological treasures, and preserve its profound historical narrative for the education and inspiration of future generations across the globe. There has been a long-held aspiration for Bamyan to re-emerge as a vibrant center for cultural tourism and historical education, even with its scarred landscape serving as a poignant reminder of its past. Over the years, various initiatives, supported by international aid, sought to improve local infrastructure. This included upgrading roads to make the remote valley more accessible, developing guest houses to accommodate visitors, and training local people, particularly from the Hazara community, who are the traditional custodians of the valley, as guides. The overarching goal was, and remains, to foster sustainable tourism that can provide economic benefits to the local population, who have endured immense hardship, while simultaneously promoting a deeper understanding and appreciation of Bamyan's rich, multifaceted history. Achieving this in full remains a challenge amidst Afghanistan's complex security and political situation. The story of Bamyan also casts a light on the broader context of cultural heritage protection within Afghanistan. A noteworthy development occurred in July 2024 concerning the Mes Aynak archaeological site, a vast 1,700-year-old Buddhist city situated atop significant copper deposits. The Taliban government, in a move that contrasted sharply with their earlier destruction of the Buddhas, announced an agreement with a Chinese mining corporation. This agreement, for mining expected to commence in spring 2025, includes provisions for underground mining techniques specifically to protect the Buddhist city on the surface. This pragmatic decision, potentially driven by pressing economic needs and the desire for international engagement, suggests an evolving, albeit complex and perhaps still uncertain approach towards the nation's rich pre-Islamic heritage by the current authorities. Ultimately, the destruction of the Bamyan Buddhas stands as a profound and enduring lesson for humanity. It serves as a stark and painful reminder of the extreme vulnerability of irreplaceable cultural heritage, especially during periods of armed conflict and when confronted by ideological extremism. The empty niches in the Bamyan cliffs are not merely symbols of a tragic loss. They are a solemn call to action. They underscore the absolute necessity for robust international cooperation, unwavering global commitment, and effective mechanisms to protect such treasures that belong to all people for all time. From the despair of 2001, there is a glimmer of hope that the lessons learned from Bamyan can strengthen our collective resolve to prevent similar cultural catastrophes from ever happening again anywhere in the world.